Hello, and welcome back to the MMR Off the Air podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Christian.
And today we are sadly one host down, but don't worry, we have lots to talk about. And the best thing to talk about is the upcoming summer spring season. And for any of you in Michigan right now, early April, it is snowing. So we're just preparing at the moment. You know, once we actually get the summer vibes, we'll surely get our playlist all set. But you know, I don't know about you, but for me, when I make playlists, there's like two that I keep that are like, you know, driving music and then like summer music.
Okay.
And the summer one's always rotation. I'm like, you were last summer, now you're new summer. Do you like have, when you make playlists for summer or think about this kind of vibe, is it always like new music that you're finding that you're putting into it?
That's an interesting question. See, I've been creating summer playlists for like 4 or 5 years now, but what I do is I kind of like take like the same sound and vibes and similar artists and kind of like expand beyond that, you know, and try to find new music from them or music that sounds similar enough where it's like, I mean, because at the end of the day, you want like uptone, like beachy stuff, you know, and I feel like the best way to do that is just stick to your guns and kind of like expand from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, when you're talking about a lot of summer music that's upbeat, I know in mine personally, I have like a lot of hip hop influences in beats of songs, not necessarily a lot of like rap or hip hop itself, besides like stuff from The Chronic from Dr. Dre or something like that. But, you know, like you are a hip hop head. Like I imagine all your music is like heavily influenced by like the New York rap scene, a lot of West Coast stuff too, just like really like good sketch and walking music. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair. I've actually never even thought about it like that because for my like little box, like I usually am trying to find like more of indie, more like lo-fi sounds. But looking like back in my summer playlist, like I've still got like a lot of hip hop on it.
Yeah, I got some like lo-fi stuff as well, but I know what you mean about like the playlist like vibing, because it has to like, if you put it on shuffle, you got no zingers. It's all good upbeat stuff. And you know, also with, you know, my taste, every time I come on the podcast and have my own take on like, oh, listen to this album, let's talk about this, which by the way, we're going to be talking about Michelle, which is a 6-piece group from New York, and they, half the time you talk about them, you can't not talk about summer. They just embody that positive energy. And with that positive energy, for me, it's a lot of funk, R&B, kind of this soulful essence of it where, you know, I know in most generations or most playlists I've heard, it's a lot more rap and hip-hop oriented, whereas mine's just kind of like little influences. Is there a part of your playlist that like, you know, that is kind of stretching outside the norms? Or like when you think about summer, is there a certain sound that is more than what you normally listen to that you think of?
Well, yes. Do you know of an artist called Saint Motel?
Saint Motel, not.
They
I don't think so.
They've made a lot of big songs. If you hear Cold Man, you probably will recognize it. But they, I don't know. They just have this like very grandiose and very like just upbeat tone that kind of like really support, like it's kind of like the supporting song in the playlist, you know, that just kind of like maintains the vibe.
Yeah, something that I find is a lot of music that's in my playlist, it's almost like stripped back to an essence, and I think that's part of the summer sound. Like it's like a little bit like there's a low pass filter, like there's a little bit like high end cutoff, kind of like the guitars have a very natural way to them, like almost as if, you know, you're on the beach and your buddy just grabs a guitar. Like how would that sound to you? Not this whole, you know, highly produced, you know, 5.1 surround sound kind of vibe.
That's a great point. Like I have this band called Circa Waves on a lot of my playlists a lot, and they're I'd call them surf rock. I mean, that's what I would label them as, and that kind of embodies what you just said like perfectly. Like those kind of like hard hitting guitar riffs that are just kind of like easy listening to.
Yeah, and the
you know?
twang. I know my friend loves Mustard Service, if you know them.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
they embody this like new like alternative, almost like, alternative rock, but like they have that surfer element with the
Yeah.
guitars. And it's a
Yeah.
very strong sound that, you know, just kind of like, was born from like, the Beach Boys, all that kind of era when it was like first
So
made.
so let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an album that just like embodies summer for you, or is this that Michelle album that we're gonna talk to about
Recently,
here?
it has been Michelle. The first album that was my summer was, I remember distinctly, I was like third grade on the playground. I was just like doing my own thing, playing basketball or just running or doing something. And I stepped on something. I was like, oh, what was that? And it was the Gorillaz Demon Days album
Oh.
CD. And it's just like in a jewel case. I'm like, why is this here? And, as a kid, all I knew at the time was like radio. And despite them being on the radio, I didn't really like listen to music.
Yeah.
As soon as I put that in my Walkman and I got home, I was just like this is. I felt like I like found something like completely new, and like that album too is like a lot of hip hop elements, a lot of cool like alternative like rock. Like it was a perfect blend for me, not liking a lot of rap growing up, to be like the perfect marriage of both.
No, yeah, it is. I'd basically describe Demon Days as like a half like experimental alternative and half hip hop album. Because I mean, it just blends so well. I mean,
Deltron 3030, like
yeah, exactly.
that Feel Good and Clint Eastwood, like all those are just so timeless.
Yeah.
And how about you? For you, is there an album that screams summer?
There is. So let me take you back here. Corona, first starting. Summer 2020, we were all in lockdown. Funnily enough, it became the like most memorable and most fun time in my life because it was just me and the same group of people hanging out and like hammocking all day, just having like the best time ever. And we were always listening to two albums in particular. One, Nice Colors by Kai Dreams and Atwood.
Okay.
It's just like it oozes summer. Like it's kind of like a hip hop and beachy hybrid that kind of like has these like serene like guitar riffs, but also layered with like really high mix like hi hats and drums.
Are they West Coast? Are they, I don't know where they're from, but like I know specifically me, like The Chronic or like anything from Snoop Dogg. Like I think of that as warm summer music
Yeah.
as well, just from its sound.
See, this is a bit different because I'd say this is more like indie pop than it is hip hop, but
sure.
it has a lot of those like hip hop influences, you know. And then another one, of course, I am a huge Mac Miller fan.
Yes.
And his first, not his first mixtape, but his first like mixtape actually promoted by his record label Kids. It's just full of summertime bangers like The Spins, obviously, Outside, All I Want Is You. It's just like, I don't know, it just kind of like embodies that kind of like freedom and youth that you kind of feel in summer. I mean, that might just be me, but like I just feel like I don't know.
It's not even like the sound, but also, music has this interesting thing of like cementing a memory in time.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
I know, like for me, we're talking about vibes of music, and strange as it is, like I feel like when you first heard them, and if they're perfect for it, it's like cements it. Like I know, like a late fall time album for me is like Jack Garrett's Phases, where it's like this kind of soulful R&B, but it's like heavy electronic too. So it's like a, I don't know, like music's strange like that. Same with smells. You ever notice like smells? It's like you'll smell something, be like yo, this smell. I haven't smelled this since I was like 9. Like, is my mom making something?
But
like,
it just takes you back. Yeah.
Yeah, and like music cements you where you heard it, and also a good summer kind of upbeat album is Star Rose Monday. And that's really interesting because you think about like talking about a day of the week, even for a time, like he embodies like an upbeat kind of, he has a lot of guest artists on the album, and it's kind of just like about having like a good step forward to your first work day of the work week. And it's like, That's so underrated. Like, yes, I feel like a lot of music embodies summer, which is a good thing because, you know, how you when you want to live life and enjoy it, it's, you know, when it's warm out and you get around people, festivals.
See, I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing that like kind of correlates with me. I mean, you said most music embodies summer, but I strive to make my summer playlist the best playlist I make that year.
Yes.
So basically, when I'm looking for music, when I'm listening to music throughout the year, it's for that playlist. It's like, okay, this song is amazing. I put it on the playlist, and like a couple weeks go by, I find another amazing song, and it's only like the best of the best that get onto this playlist.
I know, I've had that moment too, where I'm like, I love this song, but I've added 8 songs, and you're the outlier. It's like
Exactly.
you don't follow the vibe exactly, so I don't know.
Gotta cut you out.
And then you got 5
Yeah,
summer
too.
playlists. You're like, God
Yeah, exactly.
damn. And yeah, is there also anything you're looking forward to for this summer? Any festivals? Any shows? COVID's kind of on the downward,
Yeah.
you know, knock on wood. But have you ever been to any festivals in the past?
No, I have not, but I really want to go to Mopop this year.
Okay.
And I mean, if I have the money at the time, Lollapalooza. But
Everyone talks about Lala. I haven't never been to Lala, although I feel like it's something I got to do at some
yeah,
point.
I feel like it's something you just have to do, and I feel like I don't know. I don't think the lineup is like super great this year, but like it's kind of like the perfect time for me to do it.
Well, what's great
you
about
know?
festivals like that, the only one I really been to was Electric Forest back in 2016.
I want to go to Electric Forest so bad.
That one's
it looks
great.
so fun.
Like, I was really upset because there was 2 artists I really wanted to see. One I forgot about, or like I couldn't get there in time. I was trying to meet my friend, and then one of them he backed out. There's a guy called OTT Ott. He's a very kind of psychedelic, kind of cool, you know, electronic artist. But what's great about summer festivals like that is, you know, you're in a forest like that, but then even then, there's 3 or 4 main stages, and then like 10 other small stages. And it's like I just like found some dudes just doing trumpet and guitar and like using echo effects and like putting dubstep beats to it, like with looping. I was just like, I don't even care. Like, oh, like bass nectar's gonna be playing. I don't care. I want to
Yeah.
listen to you.
Yeah, man, that just sounds phenomenal. Just like a celebration of music, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to make it out to Electric Forest. I've got a friend whose parents well, her dad DJ'd there once, and she went and she absolutely loved it, and she's been trying to get us like all to go back with her.
Yeah. If you go with a group, it's like a great experience. And yeah, just festivals in general. I want to go to more shows. Hopefully, make my way to Grand Rapids more.
Yeah,
And
they've got a lot of good venues out there.
yeah, because like around here, there's some stuff at the Soaring Eagle, but I think, you know, it's going to be still pretty cold.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I mean,
high hopes for the summer. And, you know, also come by more 182 for our meetings on Thursday nights at 7. And you can meet people. And, you know, I guarantee you're going to find 1 or 2 good songs for your summer playlist, because we're always adding to our semester playlist for all the people that love music, because we all love music, all have to talk about it. And speaking of talking about more music, so time to get into the artist of the week.
okay.
And so this group is called Michelle with all caps, and all their songs also are with all caps, which is a proud statement and a reason too, because this band was formed in 2018, and they are the embodiment of the new generation of artists. It involves 6 people. 2 of them were kind of like producers that knew these other 4 singers and decided to make this project. So they weren't really a band when they first made their first album. So Julian Kaufman and Charlie Kilgore got around and eventually got the singers of Sophia D'Angelo, Layla Koo, Emma Lee, and Jamie Lockhart. So right from the get-go, you talk about their first album, Heat Wave. I love that album because it is very short, kind of, you can tell it was a passion project. For them, it was, we have all these ideas. We just need some great vocalists to highlight specifically this song versus this song. And that's how they got the 4 girls together. And it's a 30-minute album. It has a lot of influences of R&B, hip hop, funk, some jazz, some anthem kind of music, and it's really interesting how, usually when bands have multiple singers, it's like they're fighting, but here
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah, no, I noticed that as well when listening. Like I honestly couldn't tell them apart at sometimes because like it was just so cohesive together, which I mean I believe that was intentional. I mean it just like sounded like that, but it they just had like such a way of like handing it off to each other,
Yeah.
like even like not just on one track but like passing the baton like in between tracks, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, their first album was great, but it was strange because they actually didn't meet in the same room all together until their first show. That's how quick. I think they actually made it in like 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. So I know because one of the songs off that is like the same melody as The Bottom. I like heard it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Oh, really?
just like pitched
Wait,
up.
which one is that? Because the bottom is like by far my favorite on this
That was
one.
off their first one. That's a great song. It
Oh
was-
yeah, it's got 10 million streams. Jeez. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they were pretty big. They're actually touring with Mitski, so I'm sad Lauren's
Oh,
not here.
really?
Yeah, they were at one point. I believe it was Summer or Ideal. Oh, it was Ideal.
Okay.
The intro's that. But so it's pretty fast. But with this new album, the main one we're talking about, After Dinner We Talk Dreams, is 4 years after, and they solidified themselves as a group. They don't want to call themselves a band. They want to call themselves a group because, the way they started, they don't know where they're going. They love making music together, but it is a lot of different personalities, but they
Yeah.
do make it work in this album, I think. Especially the first song, Mess You Made.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the vocals, like ping-ponging, going, like trading off. It's perfectly the way they do
Yeah,
that there.
you don't get another example, like you don't get a better example of that like ever, and I love like the kind of like R&B inspired nature of it too.
Yeah,
like,
they take like a Destiny's Child approach, but
yeah.
like more soulful.
yeah.
And I don't think I've ever heard like an R&B group with that many female vocalists and like take a tempo or a song that,
Me either. I mean, yeah, I feel like with this track in particular, they really like stretched it out to its completeness, like they really found its full realization. But second track, Expiration Date,
Yes.
love it so much.
It's a good song.
This is like my favorite on the album, favorite Michelle song by far. I think that's just due to the more like hip hop inspired production because they've got the highly mixed hats and 808s, contrasted well with like the light guitar plucks. Chorus is super catchy as well. Like it's just a really engaging song through and through.
Yeah, it keeps a steady tempo. I like we said like guitar plugs because everything feels kind of like quick with like the instrumentation.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so the singer for that, I believe, was Sophia. And she also did a couple other songs. But the first singer that you mainly hear, especially in the song Pose, is Emma Lee. So she is like, I would say, more not the one singing. And then Layla and Jamie are more background. But
Well, see, that's another thing. I feel like the background vocals, like due to them sounding like very similar but still like unique in a way. Like I think when they like layer like vocal tracks like together, like with the chorus and all three singers, like it's beautiful. Honestly, it just
yeah, and
I
they do
love it
have
when
they do
that.
have very similar vocals because even when I first heard their stuff, I'm like, why is there like a bunch of people on the cover? Who is that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's actually them. And they talk about it why they named themselves Michelle. It's because they wanted to embody like a young female like proud perspective. And so there's like, none of us are named Michelle. Let's just,
Interesting.
They're actually talking about
Interesting.
like Gertrude or something.
Gertrude.
Like some crazy name for the first. And they're like, nah, let's do something a bit more.
Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue.
A bit more normal. And and then going into the next song, Pose, I love it.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Because the first 4 songs off this album were their singles, so a lot of attention to detail in these. It's a great song, the last single they released, and something about it too, like talking about the new generation proudness of their art is this band is kind of unique in the sense that the 4 female vocalists are people of color, 2 black women, and then 2 Asian women of different ethnicities, and then the 2 producers are queer men. So they have a lot of interesting introspection and how they, show that in their art. And the fact that they're all from New York, they're used to like this big melting pot. And for them, they don't see it as a selling point or something to really, specifically say in their lyrics. If they talk about love, it's just about love. And, for them, it's just a way of a stroke of a pen, not the color they use.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, I think especially on Pose and what's the other one?
Syncopate?
Oh yeah, Syncopate. That the diversity of ideas really are shown very well because it does a lot of very interesting things, but it's layered very well, like in the song. You know, I don't know. It's just I feel like these are both layered very well, but I feel like going after Syncopate, it takes a dive. I think it doesn't reach the height of the first 4 tracks for the rest of the album, and I think it kind of like just drones on, to be completely honest.
That's actually fair. I do like the songs for what they are, but like compared to their first album, Heatwave is definitely like their first 4 songs, more hot, like poppy, hip hoppy, kind of like fully like all the artists are coming together. Whereas songs going to like Talking to Myself, or it was 50/50. I know that one sounded kind of like almost more like an anthem girl song, like than that would hear not on like a hip hop or R&B or like funk album. So that's where I think part of their diversity, they're like fighting for spots on the album, and it might not be exactly cohesive, but I still think it works for their benefit. And I mean, there's only a couple songs that I think I really like were like, but yeah.
See, I just think the songs became very formulaic at the end. I mean, I feel like a lot of them were kind of just R&B tunes that I had like relied a lot on like sustained vocals, and which is interesting for 2 or 3 songs, but I feel like that kind of happened like way more often than I would have liked it to.
Like especially the last 3 songs, from Layla and the Rocket to My Friends.
Yeah, I'd say honestly like track 11, Hazards, to the end, embody that very well.
Yeah, I could see that. It might be just like my bias of loving this sound, or the fact that they are short songs, or I don't really mind it that much, but I definitely see what you're saying. It's not as strong as their first bit. And I think that might just be, the way they talk about themselves. They don't want to call themselves a band. They're a group, or like a cohesive kind of like project. It's it makes it sound like there is more behind the scenes than we know about.
Yeah.
But from interviews that I've seen, they always push themselves because they know other people are expecting stuff of them. So whether or not this will lead to a bigger group of themselves, or each in their own way, either way, I still think, for a 34-minute album, front to back, when I was listening to it, I appreciated it. And definitely.
No, like what I said is not to say that these are like bad songs. Like, these are good, like R&B, like chill songs. It's just from the way that their first album and that the first 4 tracks on this like differentiated themselves from each other. I feel like a little more of that was needed on the back end of this record.
Yeah, I think, I have to look into it a little bit more, but, talking about Heatwave being a 2-week project, I believe for the most part, the lyrics and overall songs were written by Charlie and the other guy.
The
Charlie
producers.
and Julian.
Okay.
So, and I know the ladies got more songwriting chops and felt, and also they worked during COVID. This was from 2019 onward. So,
I mean, when did this album come out?
So this came out actually a month ago.
Oh, March?
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, I think March 4th exactly.
All right.
But Yeah, and they also had two singles that were not on this album that I loved a lot. One called Summer or Sunrise, and one called FYO, which we kind of talk about summer. And Michelle is always known for summer music because they kind of embody that. Like I know for the playlist for MMR, I put 225 in there because it like perfectly describes like you got your AirPods in, you got fresh kicks, you hop over the subway and you're just enjoying the city and everything it's about.
It's a great song.
It's just like, yeah, about, enjoying the space around you. Sunrise is specifically about, when you wake up, like what's your sunrise to get out and keep trying to do more. And FYO is talking about their experiences being a diverse group of different ethnicities, different backgrounds, and how they try to like explain, especially, throughout all the social issues we've had in the past couple of years, like how do we put that into a song to kind of explain, just cut and dry, like it doesn't matter who you are. It's about, sharing this love outward. And that's all in all what I appreciate about them. They seem very unique, very genuine, and I look for that more in artists now.
Oh
Definitely
yeah, definitely. I mean, this is definitely an artist that's I will add to my repertoire now. Like I will be consistently checking for new albums, new releases, because in the end, I really like their sound.
Yeah.
Like they have a very calming but yet at the same time still like upbeat and like fast tempo. I mean, on a select few songs that just really hit for me.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious to see. I know a lot of other artists that are in like like a Spotify playlist. If I do like the Michelle artist radio that will come on that I like, they kind of also embody this mix of like that kind of genres we're talking about. But they do it with at least longer songs that are more dynamic and go through highs and lows and kind of different ebbs and flows. So I'm kind of curious, when are they going to do a longer album, maybe less songs with more thought put into them? Because it'd be crazy to see, especially these before strong women vocalists, like how can you make a song like Mess You Made more often?
Yeah.
Because Mess You Made, I can tell they spent a lot of time on that, and that's definitely my favorite track off of this whole album. Whereas like End of the World, like it's still a fun song, but like you can't lie, like the lyrics, like
it just takes me
grab
out
my
of it.
hips
I'm
and
not gonna lie.
I kind of appreciate it, but it's definitely like, all right, where's Michelle's sound? Because I'm hearing 4 or 5 things. What is the one?
Yeah, that's a great point. Like I would really love for them to just focus on one of the kind of elements that they bring in, because it kind of seems like they're putting like 25% effort into a few things, but if they just commit to one, and I mean that might be because of just how big the group is and how like
and a
there's
lot of times
stylistic differences, because when you have 2 producers and 4 like vocalists, like that is 2 positions managed by 6 people. So it's like there's got to be a lot of back and forth in their creative process. So that might be an element of it.
And a lot of times they even say like, sometimes for a song we'll have 3 people, sometimes we'll have 4, sometimes we'll have all 6. So definitely, the tracks you like, check out. I wish I brought the album. We couldn't prop it up, but in the back it actually says like who wrote which song and
which albums do you have? The first and this one that just dropped.
Yep, it's just these 2. They actually came in today, so I was like, I kind of want to show them off, but no worries. You'll see them on the title, and also they got great artwork. I don't know if you saw.
They do have great artwork. I really like the one for after dinner we talk.
Yeah,
like
and
I caught myself like just looking at it while like actually listening to the music, because you can catch like a lot of like small little things in the art.
Yeah, and it has like hard brushstrokes of like solid paint where you kind of like the definition of the paint itself is like shadows. Their singles also have the same artwork for like expiration date and pose and syncopate. So
I wonder if they do that in house or do like one.
I have to check that out. Guarantee you. I mean, that's also one thing. Like living in a city, I feel like have you been in cities much, like New York, Chicago? Yeah. When you step in there, you kind of have this new air.
Exactly.
So I feel like part of like that summer is like if you have a fresh air of all these different groups of people, different things happening. It's like breathes life. You just want to create.
Exactly.
Versus now when it's cold, go to Chicago and I'm like, my face is hurting. I don't want to live in a place where my face hurts when I walk outside. I feel like that's a safe thing to say, but
yeah, I mean, asking for the least there. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to the summer. You heard some of our interests. I'm gonna have to follow your summer playlist because if what I've heard before the show is what it's all like, I might just like steal your entire playlist.
Listen, man, I wouldn't blame you. I sometimes
look how humble he is. I wouldn't blame him. My music's great.
Okay.
But yeah.
Sometimes in winter, I'll just throw on these like my summer playlist because I don't know, it just reminds me of better times.
Yeah.
Better times because I like summer way more than winter, but
summer's good. Yeah. So, all right. Well, you've heard it here from us. Be sure to check us out in our group at More 182 Thursday nights at 7, and be ready for the summer. Good times and good music. All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks for tuning in.